Hey folks, welcome to your favorite weekend show, Smart Money on CNBC TV 18. I'm Sonia Shenoy, and as always, every week we pick up one topic and we do a complete masterclass on that. This week we're going to talk about passive funds. What are ETFs? What are index funds? What's the difference between the two? And do you as a long-term investor need to put your money here? Our experts today, Niranjan Awasthi, the head product and marketing at Edelweiss AMC, and Pratik Oswal, the head of passive funds at Motilal Oswal AMC, join in now to explain this to us and to tell our viewers how they should approach this asset class. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on the show. So let's start from the very top, right? Niranjan, let me welcome you first up. Just to explain to our viewers, I mean, it's quite interesting. I was speaking to both of you earlier, and we discussed how little people know about ETFs and about index funds. Active funds, there is so much involvement in active funds, but passive funds is not explored as much. So let's take it from the bottom. Explain to us, what are ETFs, what are index funds, and what's the difference? Niranjan, you go first.
Right. Thanks, Sonia, for having me on the show. You rightly said that, there is a very small amount of, knowledge amongst the investors about passive funds. So let me start with the basics. Index funds and ETFs are from the same family, which is called passive funds. And the meaning of passive funds means these funds mirror an underlying index and have stocks in the same constituents, in the same proportion as they are in the index. For example, a Nifty ETF or a Nifty 50 index fund will have stocks in the same ratio as they are in the Nifty 50 index. These, if it is in case of ETF, it is traded on the stock exchange, whereas in the index fund format, it is available like any other mutual fund for an investor to buy and sell. There is no fund manager who actively takes call to which stock to buy, which stock to sell. It is all about mirroring the underlying index. So they are very simple form to buy Nifty 50 stocks in a very easy format.
Okay, it's a very easy format to buy the Nifty 50 stocks and just perhaps benchmark against the index, right? A safe way if you look at it. But Pratik, come in on this. As an investor, why should I invest in a passive fund, in an index fund, rather than in an active fund where, I know who the fund manager is, I know what the stocks are. What would your advice be?
Yeah, firstly, thanks, Sonia, for having me out here on the show. So just to add to what Niranjan said earlier, he talked about the Nifty 50, which is obviously the most popular ETF or index fund today. But there are actually index funds across all categories. You have index funds across international stocks. You have index funds across commodities like gold. You have debt index funds and ETFs, which obviously Edelweiss has done a fabulous job on. And you also have equity, which is across multi-cap, large cap, mid cap, small cap. So you really have a lot of choice out there for investors to really select which one they want in what category. But, coming to the point of, why should investors look at index funds or ETFs? I do think that personally, it comes from a form of simplicity. Today, I think investing is extremely, I would say, complex, and we have a lot of DIY investors or investors who want to sort of come to the markets for the first time. And we also have a lot of, I think, ultra-rich customers, who are looking to have a much larger stake in equity or who are taking a much longer stance on equity investing, say 10, 15, 20 years. So it's very hard for you to really decide which active fund to decide to invest in. You had to take a call for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. Apart from that, also it makes the job of selecting a mutual fund extremely simple. You're looking at 5,000, 10,000 mutual funds out there. And I'll be honest, even the performance of index funds have been pretty much on par. So I do think that it really simplifies decision making. Investors don't really have to choose between 50 mid-cap funds. They can just go with the mid-cap index fund, and I think they should be pretty happy. Plus, I think a lot of people are looking at costs today, and index funds do end up becoming a lot more cheaper if you look at expense ratio.
Okay, so if you want to simplify your life and, over the next 10 to 20 years, you don't want to keep tracking mutual funds, and perhaps index funds are the way to go. But gentlemen, I want to talk about the difference between ETFs and index funds. So both ETFs and index funds are passively managed funds. Both of them mirror the index and both aim to track the performance of the underlying index as close as possible. So Niranjan, can you explain to us, is there any major difference between ETFs and index funds? And as a long-term investor, what should I select?
Right. This is a very important question, Sonia, because world over ETFs have become very, very popular as compared to index fund. Let me just try to define what an index and what an ETF is and what are the differences. Let's start with ETFs. So ETFs basically, as we discussed, it's a passive fund mirroring an index, but ETFs are listed on the exchange. They trade like stock. On the other hand, index funds are just like mutual funds, while they mirror and follow the same strategy of mirroring an index, but they are not listed on the exchange. They are available to buy and sell like any other mutual fund through the AMC or through online aggregator platforms. The other difference is the NAV. Since ETF trades on the stock exchange, one can buy or sell at a real-time NAV. Like if a Nifty 50 ETF is up maybe 0.5% in the first half an hour trade of the market, you can buy that, you can sell it at the real time NAV. Whereas index fund, you can buy and sell only at the end of the day NAV. So that's the difference. The third difference is, to buy an ETF, you need a demat account. Because it is on exchange, you need a demat account. In index fund, you don't need a demat account. You can buy it in a physical form, also in demat form if you are buying it through a broker, but you need not have a demat account. So broadly, these are the 2-3 differences. I would just like to sum up: ETF and index funds are same. The only difference is ETF is traded on the exchange and it is available at the real time NAV. For a long term investors, now if you are investing for maybe 5 or 10 years, it doesn't matter if you are trying to capture that 0.5% days move. You just buy and sit for maybe 5 years and 10 years. For most retail investors, maybe index fund would be suitable. For an institution investor or an evolved investor who wants to trade, who wants to take benefit of a real-time NAV, maybe ETF would be more suitable.
Okay, so I got that. And in fact, this is a really helpful table. I just want to revisit it once again for our viewers. The difference between ETFs and index funds, right? The NAV is calculated in real time for ETFs and end of the day in index funds. So that's not a major difference. I think the major difference is this: ETFs are traded on the stock exchanges, while index funds just map a specific index, right? And ETFs also, on buying and selling, you have to do it on the exchanges, but for index funds you don't. So I think simplicity wise, index funds are a bit more simpler in terms of investments. And I want to get the next plate, which is I think more important. Portfolio disclosures are done on a daily basis for both ETFs and index funds, so no problem there. Transparency is also pretty high. So Pratik, come in on this. Between ETFs and index funds, would you concur with Niranjan's view that for a long-term retail investor, it's perhaps more lucrative and safer to invest in index funds? And then why do ETFs even exist?
Yeah, so I actually agree with Niranjan completely. So just to add on to the point of what Niranjan said, typically when you look at index funds, you're going to the AMC and the AMC will give you units on the second day. So it's fairly similar. It's like buying a mutual fund. But there's actually two ways of buying ETFs. One is go directly to the ETF issuer, which is the AMC. And if a ultra HNI customer or institutions or a pension fund is coming directly to the AMC, then they can obviously create units. So that's extremely efficient. But a retail investor, unfortunately, cannot go direct to the AMC. They have to go to the exchange. And to be honest, in India, ETFs are not very efficient, to be honest, in terms of how they trade on the exchange. Liquidity is actually quite poor. And this I'm talking about, equity ETFs, not really debt. That is fairly efficient. So just to give you some numbers, and this will be extremely helpful for some of the viewers out there, that when you're buying an ETF, and especially if you're buying a non-Nifty 50 ETF, so for buying a Next 50 or a mid cap or even international ETF like the Nasdaq, there is a sort of premium that you pay on the exchange. So ETFs have to track a certain price of the underlying stocks, which is the basket. And when you buy on the exchange, you are paying maybe 0.5% more, and you're selling it at 0.5% less. So it is not the most efficient when it comes to really investing into these funds. So I think that's a big thing. And also I think people don't really recognize that you also have to incur STT and brokerage on top of that, which is not really a part of the expense ratio. So I think overall, compared to say ETFs in the US, which are a lot more efficient, I honestly don't see that happening for another 3 to 5 years time. So, index funds are a lot more friendlier, that easier. You don't really need a demat account for index funds. You can set up SIPs really simply. So, I'm also in favor of index funds.
Okay, you prefer index funds, and Niranjan prefers index funds as well. That is if you're a long-term investor, right? There's a helpful table that's going to come up in just a bit about the minimum investment that is required, and I was getting a lot of queries as well as to is there any minimum investment for ETFs, is there any minimum investment for index funds? So Niranjan, let me come to you first. If a retail investor wants to make that trade, is there any minimum investment at all?
So in an ETF, you can buy the ETF unit with as low as 1 unit. Now the ETF unit price can start from maybe 100 rupees to 1000 rupees. But the point here is you can buy even 1 unit of ETF. Whereas when it comes to index fund, most likely in many cases, the minimum investment, the first time minimum investment starts with 5000 rupees. And then subsequently you can top it up with as low as 100 rupees and 500 rupees. But that, may change because as index funds become more popular, there is nothing to stop that AMCs can accept even 500 rupees investment in even index fund. So but yes, in ETF you can buy it with as low as 1 unit.
Okay, and there's actually this table is coming. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
The second important point in ETF, if you were to buy it directly through AMC, there is a minimum basket size which typically ranges between 30 to 65 lakhs, and that is where the differentiate comes, because a lot of institutional investors are preferring ETFs today because they invest in large volumes, maybe in crores and all, and for them it is very efficient to go to AMC and create those units. Just to give you an example, like we launched Bharat Bond ETF, it's been a year now. We have almost 70-80% in terms of AUM from institutional investors, and they find it pretty easy to come to the AMC and create those units because they don't need to go to exchange, they don't need to pay brokerage and even the impact cost. So for institutional investors, I think so the minimums are high in ETF, but they are comfortable for them because they naturally invest in high volumes.
Okay, got that. So just to summarize that, for index funds, the minimum investment amount is about 5,000 rupees. And for ETFs, you can buy minimum 1 unit of ETFs on the exchanges. So that's the minimum investment you can make. So we've sort of come to a conclusion. Both the guests have indicated to us that it is a simpler tool if you want to get into index funds. ETFs is a bit more complicated. It's for institutional investors, but as a retail investor, index funds is the way to go. We are getting a lot of queries from your end. So we will do one thing. We'll take a short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. All your queries answered in just a bit. Welcome back. You're still watching Smart Money on CNBC TV 18. Very interesting discussion on ETFs versus index funds and what you as a retail investor should be doing. We're getting a lot of queries from you, so let me take one of them. Yayati Pathak has written to us, and he's written with 3 queries, so I'm going to take them one by one. Should one invest more in index and ETFs rather than traditional mutual funds? So that's the first question. Niranjan, I want to toss this to you. We'll go to the second and third question in a bit to Pratik. But compared to traditional mutual funds, I guess what he's talking about is compared to active mutual funds. Should I invest more in passive funds? What is your view?
So India, at the stage where India is, I believe that there is space for both strategies in a portfolio, be it active or passive. So the core can definitely be a mix of both, some percentage into passive funds, the broader index passive funds, and some portion into the active funds. Because if you look at the space which is beyond large cap, like mid cap and small cap, there's a lot of value addition which fund managers are still doing in Indian market. So I would prefer that an investor should have a combination of both the strategy in the portfolio.
Okay, Pratik, what about you? If it's a combination of both, what would you see it as? 60% active, 40% passive, or is there some other way to split it?
No, I think there's not really any sort of standard split that investors can look at. I think it all depends on their risk profile and their expertise, and also can they go out there and be advised or find those funds which will really do well. But essentially, it should be a large part of your portfolio. So the core essentially is a part of your portfolio which should not be touched for many years, hopefully decades. So if you're investing for say 10, 15, 20 years, then it's much easier for you to go for a low-cost index fund or an ETF. So I do think that investors today have close to zero, maybe 5 or 10% of the portfolio, in ETFs or index funds. And I think a healthy, I would say, proportion of core should be, I don't know, between maybe 30 and 50%. Sounds pretty good. I mean, investors who are not willing to do any, who just want simplicity, can actually go for 100%, passive portfolio too. But I think a mix of core and satellite is something which, it really works for most investors, where they can stick to something low cost, something which will stay in a portfolio for many years because there's no underperformance. So there's not really any reason for you to sell it. And then you can obviously add that, with a satellite portfolio where you want to bet on those funds which will go out there and outperform.
Okay, hold on. You said a mix of core and satellite. Now, these are two, technical terms that you've used, right? So for our viewers, perhaps who don't know what this means, what is a core portfolio? What's a satellite portfolio? And, how does one really approach it?
Yeah, sure. When you're building a portfolio, there's, I think the good way to look at it is obviously you should have an asset allocation. So essentially, you should have a diversified portfolio, which is diversified across different asset classes. That's pretty much, I would say, nice to have. But also, within your equity portfolio, I think it's good to have, a core and a satellite part. A core is essentially just like a nucleus. You have a core and you have those, I would say protons and neutrons which are going around. Essentially, a core is something which should not be touched or should not be really, I would say, traded in and out for a very long time, hopefully decades. And then you can have a satellite portfolio where you can look at things from, say, a 3 to 5 year perspective. And if you think that this fund manager or this strategy or this fund will do really well, then you can obviously go there and bet on those. So I think that's essentially a combination of core and satellite. There's actually a really good report by Vanguard, if anyone's interested, just Google it, which really shows maybe details about how this works and how it's really leads to really efficient portfolios for long-term investing. Okay,
we're getting a lot of queries. Let's move through one by one, right? Yayati asks us, is SIP on ETFs or index funds a good strategy? Niranjan, what's your view? Should it be like a lump sum into index funds or should I do an SIP? What's the way to go?
Yeah. So whether you invest lump sum or SIP depends on your cash flows which you have. So if today you have money to invest and want to stay invested for long term, definitely there's no point in waiting and you can invest. SIP is more suited for investors who have monthly cash flows like a salaried person, and then you can start it and you can go on doing SIP for a few years. Whether ETF or index fund, as Prateek mentioned in earlier conversation, that doing SIPs in index fund would be more easier because you can just set it up through a bank mandate, through any mutual fund or aggregator, whereas in ETF, if you want to set up SIPs, it is a bit more difficult. Maybe you need to do it manually every month, or some brokers today do offer that services where you can automate it, but it is still very easy in an index fund to start an SIP.
So Niranjan, how do I choose an ETF or an index fund? I mean, so now I've decided that I want to sort of get into passive funds. How do I make that choice?
So there are 3-4 considerations which one needs to see. One is the expense ratio, of course, because when you are moving to passive, expense ratio is very, very important. Second is the tracking error of the ETF or the index fund. Tracking error in simply, if I were to put it simply, is basically the difference between the index return and the ETF or index fund return. If the difference is too high, which means the fund manager is not managing it efficiently, so the tracking error or the difference has to be lower. The third thing is, if you're buying an ETF, you need to see what is the impact cost. As Prateek mentioned, in ETFs in India, some of the ETFs are not traded efficiently on the exchange. If the NAV, if the right value of that ETF is 10 rupees and if it is traded at 10.5, you are ending up buying it at a much more costlier. So impact cost and the bid-ask spread is very important when you are trying to buy an ETF, which doesn't exist in an index fund, because in index fund you directly buy through the AMC and there is no spread, there is no impact cost. You buy it at the end of the day valuation. The fourth is how much brokerage you are paying while buying these ETFs on exchange. So just to sum up, if you were to choose between a Nifty 50 ETF and a Nifty 50 index fund, if the expense ratio for both is similar, and today in India, Nifty 50 ETF is also available at 5 basis point, and Nifty 50 index fund is also available at 5 basis points. So there is, at least for the broader indices, the cost remains same. Now, if the tracking error again is similar, then definitely index funds score higher compared to ETF.
So where do I
this
get
is how you can choose between.
Sure. But where do I get for, you said look for the expense ratio. Where do I find the expense ratio and where do I find the tracking error?
So all these details are available in any mutual fund's fact sheet.
Okay.
So like if you see our fact sheet or any fund's fact sheet, you will find these details, expense ratio as well as the tracking error for the ETF and the index fund.
Okay, great. So for our viewers, once again, when you're choosing an ETF or an index fund, you need to first look for the expense ratio and the scheme expense ratio, and you also need to look for the tracking error and the difference, right? So an average impact cost of an equity ETF is around 0.50% in India, and an average tracking error is 0.45%. So, that is what you will get perhaps in the fact sheet. Now, another very helpful graph is going to come up for you, which is what is suitable for you as an investor, ETF or an index fund. So I'm just going to get that table up in a bit. ETFs are suitable for those people who want to take the benefits of intraday market movements, and index funds, if you're a long-term investor, not this place, sorry, the previous one, what is suitable for investors, ETFs, or yes, this. So who should invest in index funds? Long-term investors, people who don't have a demat account, as well as people who don't want to sort of track the expense ratio regularly. Pratik, comment on this. We're getting the plate on the screen, but what is suitable according to you for long-term investors between ETFs and index funds?
Yeah, so I think index funds are what I think we came to the conclusion to. As Niranjan said, I think they're slightly more efficient at this point of time in terms of entering and exit price, looking at index funds. And also the amount of choices that you have in India, index funds tends to be a lot higher than say an ETF. And as also spoken by Niranjan, I think setting up SIPs, creating portfolios is a lot easier. When you're looking at index funds, you can actually simply buy them from the mutual fund website or from any platform, whereas ETF requires you to have a demat account. And even then, I think SIPs are slightly more complex. So yes, I think for a long-term retail investor, it makes perfect sense to buy in index funds. I think having said that, there's also a category in ETFs which is obviously sector or thematics. Where obviously I think there remains a case there where this may not be a long-term investing, but investors who are looking to say take a bet on a particular sector and don't want to take a call on say an HDFC Bank or an Axis Bank, they can just buy the Bank Nifty ETF. And I think that can be a slightly low risk way of investing. But I think when you're looking at long-term investing, I think index funds is definitely something which I would recommend.
Okay, gentlemen, we've completely run out of time, but it was a really helpful session. Thank you so much for joining us and enlightening us on the difference between ETFs and index funds. What are passive funds? So we've come to a conclusion that if you want a safe investment, if you want a long-term investment, if you don't want to bother about who the mutual fund manager is and what are the stocks, and something that will just benchmark the index, you need to invest in index funds. With that, it's a wrap on this CNBC TV 18 special. Thanks so much for watching.